I used to date and everybody. I used to go home. My mother would say, well, what's wrong with you? She says, Ma, they're all big girls. I like them, but, you know. And she'd say, well, like, why don't you write in and see about little people? And then that's how I met Celeste, and that...
It was love. Did you date women of average height?
Oh, yeah, because I didn't know any little people. Yeah. And when I was going to school, of course, remember, I was in show business up until about I was 14 or 15, then got out of it for a while and went on to Los Angeles City College and went to Los Angeles State College, of which I'm very pleased because of my dear parents. I played football and basketball in college.
You played football?
I made my letter in both sports at Los Angeles and LA State College, and I was on a gym team. And
Thanks, darling. Nothing stops us. Nothing stops us.
Huh?
Nobody ever told me I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I didn't know any different.
What did you play on a football team?
I played a halfback, left halfback. The coach built 7 plays around me. His name is Newmeyer. He was an All-American from California, and he put me on the sideline so I wouldn't get hurt. We were a 2-year college, and I threw a couple of blocks, and to this day, I don't think the guys knew who hit him. I was able to run, and those days I was pretty athletically inclined. I ran 50 yards in 7 2/10 seconds, and I didn't make a target. And I could shoot half court one-handed, and it's in the record books. And
in basketball, too?
Yeah.
You could shoot a basket?
Yeah. We have a team called the Hollywood Shorties. In fact, we have a great athletic program going on in our little people, too.
Yeah. When we come back, an average-sized woman who married a little person. But first, take a look at Billy Barty in a scene from the movie Willow.
That was the correct answer. You lack faith in yourself. More than anyone in the village, you have the potential to be a great sorcerer. Now, when you're out there, listen to your own heart. These will protect you. Acorns? They're magic. Anything you throw them at turns to stone. You have much to learn, young Offgood.
Right now is Darla, and next to Darla, who, by the way, Darla, you're how tall?
5'2".
5'2", Darla Goggin, and her son Matthew, who is 2 feet 10 inches tall, and her husband Michael, who is 4 feet 3 inches tall, and we're going to call this segment a love story. All right? Oh, why not? Why not? Darla would be considered someone of average size. And dated men of average size?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
And then one day, what happened?
My roommates introduced me to Michael when I was in college, and we went out a couple of times and got to like each other. So here we are, 8 years later. Actually, 11 years later.
Now, what did your parents say to you when you brought home Michael?
They weren't not very happy. No.
So unhappy that they did what?
As a parent now, what I see, I'm in a different place now than I was 11 years ago.
Sure.
So as a parent now, I think you always want the best for your child. And you don't want your children to do things that would cause them to have any complications. And that's where my family was coming from. They thought the relationship would cause me a lot of pain and a lot of grief. And of course, having children, they thought that would be very hard on me. And it hasn't been real easy, I have to admit that.
What's been the tough things? People stare a lot?
People stare a lot, but that doesn't bother me. I don't know why, it just doesn't. I think it's tough in having a child. And when I was pregnant, it was hard for me when I found out that Matthew was going to be a dwarf child. A lot of thoughts went through my mind of whether or not this was right for me to bring a child into the world that would have problems. And how do you justify knowing that? However, Matthew doesn't have a lot of physical problems other than being short stature. He hasn't had a lot of medical surgeries and problems that would cause him pain. So I guess you just make your choices in life and then you have to live with them.
Michael, why marry somebody of average size? I know you're going to say why not, which is valid, but I want to know where you're coming from, I guess.
Well, I had been dating quite a few ladies when I was going to college, and it was just that little thing that said, "That's the one for me." You know, it happens. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? And we did go out on a couple of dates, and I was so sure that I proposed on my second date with Darla.
I said no.
You said no?
And Darla said no.
No way.
Yeah. And
Why did you say no?
The first time, too.
Well, I'd only been out on 2 dates with him. I wasn't in a position to make any kind of commitments.
Right.
You know, I was dating. We were both dated other people when we first started dating.
Michael, did you date tall women?
I sure did. I think the tallest woman I was dating was about 5'8".
That's tall
That's
for
pretty
you.
tall. And she was a wonderful person, you know. I still know her, and she's a terrific person.
Now, you knew on the second date Darla was for you?
Yeah, I really did. It was really kind of magnetic. It's special. First of all, we're both involved in the arts. I'm a television and film actor. And Darla was also involved in the arts at San Francisco State University. And I had dated the different girls in the same suite at the dorms there. I'm a native San Franciscan. And I went up to the room to visit, and I had just gotten back from a long-distance trip, traveling across the United States. And I said, "Who's that girl?" You know, it's like, just like that.
Now, when you met her parents, how difficult was that?
When I met Mom, Helen, I thought she was just a terrific person. I have no animosity for the way she feels about me. It's none of my business.
Does she like you now?
Yes, she's a wonderful person. Yeah.
Now, you were told that Matthew would be a normal child.
Yes,
Is that
we
correct?
were. Yeah.
Well, Michael was told before we ever began dating that he would not have a dwarf child.
What they said was that I had a recessive gene, and it really became dominant. And so my child is a dwarf.
Now, he looks pretty phenomenal. How old are you, Matthew?
6.
6 years old? Do you know that you are very special?
Because of God made me, and that's why Jesus made me.
Jesus made you that way? It's pretty terrific. You look a lot like Dad. Do you know that?
Yeah,
Jesus just loves everybody, right?
yeah.
Tall and short?
He wish he was never dead. He wish he had his powers from God, and he died.
And he died. Well, I think you got that down pretty straight. You know? Matthew, do the other children ever ask you why you're shorter than they are?
Because of it doesn't matter how big or short you are. It doesn't matter how old you are.
But do the children make fun of you?
Do children
Sometimes.
sometimes? What do you say to them when they make fun of you?
It doesn't matter how big or small you are.
You just tell them that. Good for you.
And he will.
Sally, what's the saying? Out of the mouths of babes?
Out of the mouths of babes. I never heard more out of the mouths
Sally.
of babes than
Sally?
that. Yes.
I didn't marry Celeste because of her height. I dated her a few months, and I asked her, and she turned me down, too.
She turned you down?
Yep.
Okay, what was in your mind? First, we'll hear from why she turned you down.
I didn't want to get married.
Oh, well, that's
I
fair.
was not looking for husband. He was looking for a wife. So I told him, go find a wife. But he wouldn't go away. And he wouldn't go away. Because it was her personality, and I had a lot in common, and that's what made me fall in love with her. Because she is what she is, and acts the way she does.
Yeah.
Having nothing to do with anybody's height,
It's got
right?
nothing to do with the size or not. It's just the way it worked out. And I knew she was it.
I understand that The Wizard of Oz was considered to be the big social event of its time, because this was before there was an organization called the Little People of America. We're going to find out what really happened with the Wizard of Oz when we come back. You have to get you to stand up.
Okay, I noticed that you're very vivacious. Is that because you just normally have a bubbly personality, or is it compensation for something?
Who are you talking to?
All of us?
Why, thank you.
With Michael, we used to have a roommate in college, and she used to go to work before Michael would get up because he sings in the morning. I mean, he's just naturally vivacious, and that's one of the things that attracted me towards him.
I'd like to know whether you have particular health problems because of your dwarfism.
Well, because of the different types of dwarfism, there's different problems relating to that specific type of dwarfism. Generally, backs, you know, because we have the same vertebrae, same bones as a tall person, but they're compressed in, and being the different types offers a different
It's like
problem.
a
Also-
coil. It
also
just
there's a lot
curves
of-
right down with spring.
I'm sorry. There's also a lot of cranial, hearing disability.
Now, Celeste is too small to carry a child, right? So you have never had a child?
I could carry a child, but I don't have the strength to lift one up after birth.
She'd be in bed the whole length of time.
Now, we were talking about Billy's being athletic, and Marie teaches tennis.
That's right.
Right? Billy won his letter in football and basketball, and you teach tennis at
Yes.
4 feet, 4 inches tall.
That's correct.
I have a couple of questions. One is for Michael. You just looked so familiar when you came on. I'd like to know, were you on TV?
Yeah, I am a television and film actor. I don't normally get the opportunity to do this, but right now I would like to. I'm really in this entertainment business at this position right now, really because of Billy Barty. He really gave me a hand in my first film, so I just wanted to say that.
Would you, Michael, and Darlene consider having another child?
Yes.
Yes.
Matthew's
For
a real
you.
joy. He's
Why, did you want to
fun.
have kids or something?
Let's talk about the Wizard of Oz, Marie. You're the one who knows the story best. What happened with the Wizard of Oz?
The situation with the Wizard of Oz, and please let's take ourselves back 50 years ago, okay? Before Billy
That makes us
Barty
feel old
and-
right there.
And right before many of us were even a twinkle in our daddy's eye, and the fact that Billy Barty, Little People of America, that wasn't around. This is the first time that little people were together in an accepted way. So therefore, they were in a group where they were able to meet with each other, accept each other, and there was a lot of social interaction, and therefore there was love and affection because they understood. And being outcasts and not being understood in other parts of society, this was it.
I don't think you're telling what happened. Billy, you
Sally,
more...
was also an opportunity that they didn't have the agents and business managers, and they weren't captives of their own individual groups of those days, and now they were kind of free, and when you don't have mommy and daddy to tell you what to do.
I think you're hinting at it. An absolute orgy went on these...
But there was...
No, you said that.
That's right.
There was the other side of the spectrum, too. Those that came from Germany who were short in stature were sent back to the concentration camps because they were not of a perfect society, and they were also put into the gas chambers. Yeah.
Well, I was just wondering, in the Little People's Organization, it seems when we were talking before about the expense of your clothes, that you would have people within your own organization that are making furniture and things designed for your comfort. Couldn't someone make your clothes a little bit more economically than like you were saying Al had to pay $500 for his shoes?
Al's shoes cost how much?
$500.
$500.
My shoe cost me
Somebody's being
$300.
taken advantage of.
Yeah, but no, we don't all fall into the same category, though. Like, for example, I can still buy my clothes from a boys' department and have them cut down and tailored.
Yeah, really. And I myself wear women's petites like in a size 2 and then just have hemlines all.
So it economically, there... How
I
many...
don't wear a woman's petite.
No.
How many
I don't like
Neither do I, Billy.
In the organization, we do have places where and ideas of what the little people can do and where they can buy. There are many different places, but no little person has taken on this responsibility of making, just like this furniture from Sunburst. We went through an experience, and so, I mean, when your feet can hit the floor and your back can reach the back at the same time, and then you have a perfectly a suit that will fit you. It's just like, at one time, we couldn't even buy shoes or stuff. We had to wear children's clothes.
Billy, how many dwarfs are there in America?
There's estimated people of short stature about 1.5 million, and there are about 150,000 of the skeletal dysplasia type, medically speaking.
Billy, what was your first movie?
It was,
What year was it made?
19
Great year. Great year.
Okay, all right, I'm not afraid to tell you. All right, I started when I was 3 years old. My first movie was made in 1927, and I am now 38. I'm 63.
The name of the first movie, Billy?
Wetted Blisters.
I was wondering, you mentioned athletics and stuff, and with the Olympics and stuff, is there like a special Olympics for short
there
people?
is. I am a board member of the Dwarf Athletic Association. I am going to the Paralympics, which is the Olympics for the disabled, as a coach. I am taking 10 dwarf athletes with me, and we will be over there for 2.5 weeks in October. It's our first time, so it's
What do they do?
We have
powerlifting, and we have a couple of gentlemen who can lift 330 and 355 pounds bench pressing, respectively. We have swimmers, we have track and field, table tennis. Those are the events we're going with this year.
Now, there's also a negative side of this, and that is there is actually a sport that average-sized people do called dwarf tossing.
Oh, it's
and it makes a lot of people angry.
Oh.
Just let me, we'll take a break. We'll be right back, and you tell us what you think about it.
Oh, good.
Heard about something called dwarf tossing or throwing. I was so appalled. And I have a friend who is from Australia, and I asked her, and she said yes, that is a sport. And you're shaking your head, Michael?
It's disgusting, I'll tell you.
Isn't it? Tell
It's
us
very
about,
degrading.
first explain to us what it is.
Well, dwarf throwing is picking up a dwarf by the seat of their pants, and they're wearing a protective belt, and then by the back of their neck, and they throw them, see the distance that they can throw them onto cushions. But it's really degrading because it's not that the person gets hurt, it's just the idea that somebody can throw somebody else. But they also have dwarf bowling, where they take the same person by the seat of their pants and they roll them on a skateboard to knock down some pins with their heads. And they're wearing a helmet, but that's even more disgusting.
Where is this done?
In Australia.
It was on a show recently on national TV of
Funny people.
Funny. And I just turned it on, and I had never seen it before, and I was totally...
I don't even like to talk to about it because, one, it isn't a sport.
No.
Two, it's stupid and ridiculous.
Why would the dwarf allow themselves to have that
Because I feel he don't have any friends, or he's trying
social
to
acceptance.
fit in with the crowd.
It's a sociological acceptance.
Right. It's like us, we go out a bunch of people who are young. And you know how you like to do everything everybody else does? Well, maybe his point was that, oh, I might have to do something different, then they'll get to like me.
Little people are not organized in every country in the world. We have a good group here in the United States, but in other countries, you know, they're still into what can I
Dwarfism
do?
is frowned upon, yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
Still
don't
not
think it's...
accepted.
Hi, I wanted to ask Les.
I got to get this audience it's like pop-up toast.
Hi, I wanted to ask Les, how much do you weigh, and do you have to watch your weight?
I'm always watching my weight. I keep going this way and this way and this way. No, but I'm only 3'6", and I weigh roughly between 80 and 85 pounds. But I have tipped the scales at 93, which is really scary.
At what age can you notice that you're not growing? I mean, it varies. And
Well,
different
it
people.
Depends upon what type of dwarfism you have.
They can tell also in the fetal stages.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of us, not all.
Right.
I was wondering, do they do any work with the hormone
Yes, there's a pituitary gland and the proportionate type of dwarfism. In the hormones, it's because they have not reached puberty, they have not had all the fully developments of the disproportionate type of dwarfism. It will not help.
It will not. In other words, could you give Matthew a growth hormone?
No, his
we went through that
hormones is
testing
perfect, yeah.
at Children's Hospital just in December of this last year. He was at an age where we could do it. It's a horrible test that you have to do to find out whether or not you have
What do
growth
they do?
hormone. Well, they take blood every 15 minutes. They give you a drug sort of thing to drink, and then they take blood every 15 minutes for about 5 hours.
And what did they say?
They found that his growth hormone level was normal. Meaning he had
Average.
proportionate enough.
Proportionate enough for his height.
But he could never, taking a growth hormone would
Well,
not
if the
make...
doctors wanted to
No.
experiment with him, they could, but we're not for that.
They didn't want to.
Hi.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question for Michael and your son Matthew. What are his chances when he grows up and has children of them being average size?
The same measurement before. If he marries a average person, regular, then 50-50 chance. And then if he marries another little person, 75%, same range.
Yes, I had a question for Billy. You said you had 2 children, one of which is a little person and the
Yes.
other one that is 5'9". What would the 5'9's chances be of having another little person?
Almost nothing. 1 out of 10,000 people born will be of short stature. And his chances of having a little person are practically nil.
Or about the same as mine would be, is that
Right.
correct? In other words, it becomes...
Anyone has a chance of having a dwarf
Yeah,
child.
I mean, you all
Does
have the
not to
same
be a
chance.
dwarf.
Because most little people come from big people anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, what was it like going through high school? And I mean, from the sounds of it, you said everyone was pretty much nice to you, but did you have a lot of problems?
I really didn't. I mean, and as a matter of fact, I mean, high school was a very busy time for me. I was involved in a lot of things, from musicals to drama clubs to debating and everything else, and ended up having a real good group. And I was playing tennis competitively on the high school tennis team during high school, so I was very accepted. I had no problems whatsoever.
I think a lot of us, if we join in with a pupil, in school, they don't think of you as being small. You're one of them, and you just join in and grow up with them.
High school was great for me, too. I earned my letters in sports.
Did you, too?
If I could not play the sport, I made myself involved, and I was the voice of the Wildcats at St. Ignatius.
Great.
Yeah.
Hi. I was just wondering, how does one overcome the size stigma and become successful like you guys have done? By the way, I think you're great.
Thank you. We come, I think that we are able to speak about the way we are so lovingly because we come from a loving environment, that's all.
It's all
Parents, the
positive
mother, and the
attitude.
father.
Yeah, it's all how you
And
project
it's how
it.
we're brought up with our families. They love us, and they treat us like anybody else. Then we go ahead and...
If we see a
For
negative...
who we are and not what we are.
Exactly.
Yeah,
If we
right.
see a negative situation, then we also are responsible in jumping in and helping them turn that around.
Give me a negative situation that you sometimes see.
Oh, being in the shopping market and somebody points like a child.
What do you do if somebody is going, look at
Oh, I
him?
always approach the parent and I let them know that it's wonderful that they have an intelligent child, and you should praise your child for knowing that they are looking at an adult.
So you don't say, madam, keep your child from staring.
No way. A lot of parents will grab the child and
they'll hit him.
Oh, you should, what's the matter with you? Karate chop.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back. People of America convention, and there were 1,000 people partying, dancing, dressed up, having probably more fun at a convention than anybody I had ever seen in my life. Just
Sally, you got to remember that week we are the majority.
That is correct. That is absolutely correct.
Hi. I was wondering if it was really hard grocery shopping with things that were out of reach and with the
Sometimes.
carriages.
Not any more than it would be for you.
But
What do you do
If
when
I
you want
can't
it on
reach
the
it, I
top
ask
shelf?
someone to get it for me.
What about elevator buttons going up and down? On
Extensions,
Yuck.
The problem.
extensions, or you wait for someone.
To push the elevator button.
And then when you get in the back, you hit them in the back of the knees so they move when you get off.
This is a question
Believe me,
for
it works.
Marie and for Michael and his wife. Being that you had tall parents and you are a little person and a big person, your living conditions, did your parents make special accommodations? Did you have big furniture and little furniture, or is it...
Not at all, because I own a house by myself now. My house is totally average size. I have a stool in my kitchen to allow me to, reach in cupboards and that type of thing. And other than, stools growing up that my parents obviously had to have in bedroom, bathroom, whatever, no other accommodation.
Yeah, most of our friends are big anyways.
Yes.
And so we do have some small furniture, like this sunburst chairs here. But, our big people, and you know what they do? Big people, they sit in the small furniture.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Unless we want to turn our house into an Alice in Wonderland experience,
Have you ever been afraid of being trampled?
No.
Never.
What?
Never trampled. Ever
No,
been in a
no, you
crowd?
have to say, watch out,
I
I'm
am.
coming through.
You are. No, wait. You are.
But she's sitting in a short chair
Hey,
now.
Sally, can I tell you a true story? Because of, having played ball and been in things, in crowds, when I have to get in front, and if I'm by myself, I get in front. And then they turn around and blame the guy behind me.
Right.
I take the subway every day. And once in a while, I'll get hit in the head. And I say, whoa, and someone will say, oh, I'm sorry. And that's it. And
You're never afraid of being trampled?
No.
What were the hardest obstacles for you guys to overcome growing up?
Oh, God.
The understanding by the bigger world of who we are and what we can do.
That's right. Educating the average size world, that we're real people.
Everybody has doors that are closed for them, but ours were closed and we had to push them open.
Right.
You obviously have been concerned about little people for many years altogether. I hope, anyway. Have you seen progress on the part of the rest of society in terms of being more sensitive and more supportive and more understanding?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I've seen, yeah.
Although I haven't played opposite Elizabeth Taylor yet.
And I haven't really played opposite of any major female star either. But Billy and myself and a few of us here, we're very active politically. We're a politically oriented group.
Do you tend to vote for short politicians?
The shorter the better.
But if we see something out of place, we like to correct it. Right. And we do it with by association, as a group, not just one person.
Billy, what did you do between jobs as an actor?
Beg your pardon?
What did you do between jobs?
You said you retired from show business for a while.
No. We were in vaudeville. My folks gave it up so we could finish our education. I went on to high school. I struggled through college, went to LA City and LA State, majored in journalism. I lacked about 9 months of getting my BA degree, but I went back in show business, and here I am.
I'd like to ask, having been in the school situation before, what's the proportion of dropouts with people your size?
There's a misunderstanding. It's improved a lot. But in the early days, when I first started the Little People of America, little people went to handicapped schools and retarded schools. They would not let them in the public sector until I told them, I said, these are human beings. They're going to have to adjust to life, and it's not going to be easy. But if you don't give them that opportunity, they will never do it.
Question.
Hi, I wanted to ask Matthew's parents. Was he an average length when he was born?
Yeah, he was 19 inches.
How long after birth did, they predict that he was going to be short?
Well, we knew before he was born.
There was some inclination, but we really knew by the age of 2, because 6 to 8 inches went by on all of his friends, and Matthew stayed right there.
But he seems very, very well adjusted with his height, as is his father.
Well,
actually, all of you.
He is, but I think about a year ago, he really started to go through a thing of realizing that he was smaller than the other kids. He moved into a new school, and then he really started to know the differences. And I've never stopped him from fighting, but he can really take care of himself. And he went through a period of time, he says, I don't want to be short like my dad. I don't want to be short. I want to be tall like my mom.
What I started doing was...
And he started to adjust to that.
Yes, and what I started doing was I went to the school so I could meet all of his friends or, children, and then they understood that well, Daddy's a little person and Matthew's a little person too.
And that made a lot of sense, did it
Oh,
not?
yeah. But, when I was a child, I didn't have that. My father is like Mr. Olympia. He's big, tall, and handsome. And
But how did you overcome that then? If Dad is Mr. Olympia and you are very handsome but short,
okay.
What happened with you? Was this a long, difficult road?
No, I think my friend in life at an early age was my father's mother. Because the first experience I had in seeing a little person, real close, eye-to-eye contact, was when I was brought to a circus. And the dwarfed clown came up to me, just picked me out of the entire group of kids buying candy bars and said, "You are a little person." And he said, "You are a special little person."
We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Story. I had an opportunity to work for a little bit of time at the circus at Ringling Brothers, and I had a friend there who was a dwarf who taught me a lot about makeup. And do you know, along about the second week of working there, I did not know that was a little person of America till somebody said to me, "Your friend is very short." Because that's what happens after a while. You begin to take people the way they are. Thank you all very, very much.
Thank you.
Some members of our audience will receive, and a promotional fee has been provided by
Pizza. Addiction and are finally faced with the truth about their teen daughter. Divorce Court next.